Hi, my name's Richard White and welcome to this mini course on how to get motivated and stay motivated. Sales techniques are useless without action. Motivation is literally your motive for action. If you want to increase your sales income, you need to increase your levels of action. You also need a good reason to continually work on your comfort zone and to increase the quantity and quality of activity that you do on a daily basis. Average salespeople require other people to motivate them. If you want to be successful in sales, you need to be able to motivate yourself and also to keep yourself motivated. So that's what we're going to be looking at in this mini course. I'll explain a few things and then you'll have some exercises to do. Make sure you do the exercises because they're very important. Even if you've already got some goals, then it's worth doing the exercises because you may get some even more motivating goals, or at least it will just confirm that you're on the right track. The thing to realize about motivation is that it's more than just a feeling. As I said, it's your motive for action. Think about a runner that's preparing for the Olympics. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and outside it's really cold and icy. Everywhere you look there is frost on the ground and this runner is snuggled up in bed. They don't really feel like getting up and going for a run. But they're so focused on winning the gold at the Olympics that they will get up and do their run anyway. And that's what I'm looking for you. I'm looking for goals that are so motivational that you're going to be doing the activity to achieve them whether you feel like it or not. They're just that important to you. Successful salespeople have massive goals and they stay focused on those goals at all times. If all you can see is the work that you have to do, then your goals just aren't big enough. You have to stay focused on your goals and not on the work to achieve the goals. It doesn't matter what your goals are, all that matters is that they're highly motivating for you and they drive you on to higher levels of sales success. Quite frankly, if you don't want much, then you won't earn much and also everything you do will seem a chore. If you have really highly motivating goals, then you'll be committed to whatever it takes in order to achieve them. And you'll be prepared to put up with the knockbacks and disappointments on a day-to-day basis, on the way, of course, to achieving sales success. And you'll also be prepared to stretch your comfort zone and try new things and improve your technique and be a little bolder in your sales approach. The key to achieving goals is to know what you want. So many people are focused on what they don't want, and what they need to realize is that we get what we focus on. If I was to say to you, don't think of a blue elephant wearing a pink tutu, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? That's right. You need to understand that the brain is designed to achieve goals. And this part of the brain that achieves goals works on what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on what you don't want, then at worst you're going to just stay where you are. At best, you're going to actually bring into your life the very thing that you don't want. So if you don't want to be living in the current house that you're living in, where do you want to live? If you don't want to be broke at the end of each month, how much money do you want to be earning? If you don't want to be driving around in a 10-year-old car that keeps breaking down every 5 minutes, what car do you want to be driving in? It really is important to focus on what you want. And the more you focus on what you want, the more likely you are to achieve it. Because that part of the brain that deals with goals works on the images that you put into your mind. So we're going to create some goals for you and then I'm going to show you how to think about your goals in order to maximize the chances of you achieving them. Okay, time for the first exercise. In a moment I'm going to ask you to pause the program and work on a list of goals. You need to get yourself a piece of paper and then write down a list of everything you don't want. As we said previously, if you don't want to be living where you're currently living, write that down. If you don't want to be driving the same sort of car, write that down. If you don't want to work beyond the age of 40, write that down. Just make a list of everything you don't want. When you've finished, cross out each item one by one and against it write what you want instead. So if you don't want to work beyond the age of 40, you could cross it out and write, I want to retire by the age of 40. And then maybe against it write what you'd like to be doing once you have retired. Once you've crossed out all the items that you don't want and you've written against them what you want instead, then add to the list everything that you do want. I would set aside a couple of minutes at least and just keep writing them down. Don't think about it, just write it down because we're going to go through a screening process and we're going to reduce this list to something a lot smaller. So where would you like to go on holiday? Are there any courses that you'd like to attend? Maybe there's a particular concert you'd like to go to. Or maybe you'd like to do something for a charity. Maybe you'd like to move house or do an extension. Maybe you'd just like to take your partner out for a lovely weekend somewhere. Whatever it is, just write it down. So pause the program now and do the exercise. Okay, the next step is to go through the list of goals and against each one, write against it the date at which you'd like to achieve that goal by. So put the month and the year. And when you've done that, what I'd like you to do is to transfer each of the goals onto 3 separate lists. One list is going to be for short-term goals. That's anything you want to achieve within a year. The next one will be medium-term goals, and that's anything you want to achieve between 1 year and 5 years. And the third one is anything you want to achieve beyond 5 years. Now what sometimes happens is that people are really focused on the long term, so they have goals like pay off the mortgage or retire, and they don't have anything in the short term or the medium term. So once you've transferred these to your 3 lists, then feel free to add to each of the lists so that you've got plenty of items in the short term, medium term and long term. And remember to put a date against each item. So pause the program and do the exercise now. So what you've got now is 3 lists of goals, one for short term, one for medium term and one for long term. Now while it's possible to have anything you want if you put enough work into it, it's not necessarily possible to have everything you want. It could be that some things on your list contradict each other. By having one, you can't have the other. It could be that in the short term, you can easily generate enough income to be able to afford some of the items, but maybe you won't be able to generate enough income for all of the items. So what we need to do is to prioritise the goals and to be clear which goals are more important to us and which ones are less important. So time for the next exercise. What I'd like you to do in a moment is to pause the program and to go through each list line by line and put a priority factor against each goal. Use a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this is an incredibly important goal for me, and 1 being this is not really important at all. Each of your goals will be between 1 and 10. So go down line by line and score each goal, and then when you've done that, rewrite the list with the goals that are most important to you at the top and the goals that are least important to you at the bottom. So pause the program now and prioritise your goal lists. So what normally happens is that people have lots of goals that are very important to them, but sometimes their goals don't exactly get them fired up. They're important, but they don't have what I call the wow factor. The wow factor is my term for a goal that really makes somebody excited about it. Now paying off the mortgage may be important, but it may not be enough to get you motivated to massively increase your activity levels. So I did a course once and there was this lady there who had a list of goals and there was lots on it, but there was nothing that was really getting her fired up. And I asked her what would be the one thing that would really motivate her out of her skull. And she told me about this roller coaster in Las Vegas that she would really love to go on. Now this wasn't even on her list, but you could see just by talking about it that her face had lit up. And the cost wasn't going to be actually very great. So she added it to her short-term goals, and that was the one thing that really got her motivated to do some of the important changes that she needed to do in her role. She had all the other goals that were important, but it was a roller coaster ride that really got her motivated. So what I'd like you to do now is to go through each list line by line and to score each goal for the wow factor. 10 being incredibly motivating, 1 being not very motivating at all. And make sure that on each list you have at least 1 item that is at a 10. And if you don't have one, then take the time to find one. So pause the program now and do the exercise. I mentioned before that there's a part of the brain that's designed for achieving goals. It's called the reticular activating system, and it's very similar to a satellite navigation system in a car. When you're taking a journey and using a satellite navigation system, you program into it where you want to go, and then it gives you instructions on how to get there. The satellite navigation system in your mind does exactly the same thing. You program in your goals, and then it gives you instructions at an unconscious level on how to get there, and it also compels you to take action. You program the satellite navigation system in the car by typing in the postcode. The way you program the satellite navigation system in your mind is through visualization and vividly imagining your goals. You need to do it in the 5 senses, so sight, sound, feeling and touch, taste and smell. The more real you can make it, the more the satellite navigation system works. So what we need to do is to take your goals and to program them into your satellite navigation system. And we're going to do that with your WOW goals. And then you later can do it with some other goals as well. I would recommend that you focus on the goals that are really important to you. So the next exercise is about turning your top WOW goal into a format that can be programmed into your satellite navigation system. And as an example, I'm going to use an imaginary goal of being on a beach in the Caribbean on the 30th of June 2009. So the first stage is to draw it on a piece of paper. The drawing doesn't have to be very good, but you just need to draw it because it's going to help you visualize it. So for the Caribbean, you might draw a palm tree and you might do some wavy lines to indicate the sea, and maybe a couple of M's in the sky to indicate seagulls, and maybe a sun, and maybe some stick people on the beach. If you're good at drawing, then you can do something more exotic, but that is all you really need to do. The next stage is to write it out in vivid detail as if it's happening right now, as if you're really there. So it's the 30th of June 2009 and I'm lying on a golden beach in the Caribbean. And I can feel the warmth on my face and I can feel the sand in between my toes. And as I look around, I can see beautiful turquoise sky and people laughing and playing on the beach and swimming in the sea. And a waiter is coming towards me with a great big grin on his face and 2 massive cocktails in his hands. He hands them to me and my partner, and I can feel the cold of the glass in my hand, and I can smell the pineapple that's sitting on the side of the glass. I take a sip and it's delicious, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is the life. So I hope you see there we've got all of the senses in there, and it's as if it's now. And as you write it out in this vivid detail, you should start to form pictures in your mind as if it's real. And the more vivid and the more colourful and the more bright you make it, the more motivational it should become. So pause the program and do the exercise now. Once you have your goals in vivid detail, then they're ready to be programmed into your satellite navigation system. And you do this by visualising. And all that means is imagining the goals as if they're really real, just like you've written them down. Now you can imagine them at any time and they should give you a motivational lift. But the best time for programming them into your satellite navigation system is first thing in the morning when you just wake up. You know, before you are fully awake but you're not quite asleep. Or you could be daydreaming during the day. Or lying in a bath. Or whenever you're relaxed, just imagine your goals in vivid detail. Do them one by one. You could actually get clever with some of your goals and put more than one in the same visualization. For example, if you've got a new car and a new house, you could imagine the new house with the car parked in the driveway. The next stage is to develop a game plan for turning your goals into reality. And if your goals are big enough, this is going to mean that you're going to have to sell more in order to pay for them. And that ultimately will turn into activity targets. Because if you want to sell more, then you either have to increase the activity or increase the quality of the activity. If you have a sales manager or sales coach, I recommend you get their help in developing your game plan and also a way of measuring progress towards your goals. If your goals turn out to be not as realistic as you originally thought, then maybe you just need to change the time frame of 1 or 2 of your goals. Again, your sales manager or sales coach should be able to help you in coming up with creative ideas for generating more sales revenue. You might also need to think about any personal development or extra coaching and training that you might need in order to move up to the next level. It's time to stop the program and do the next exercise. This one is going to take you a little longer than the rest. So what I recommend is that you take a few moments to go through your goals one by one and put price tags against each one. Then decide when you're going to be doing the game plan and what help you may need in producing your game plan. So stop the program and do the exercise now. The final stage is to take lots of action. You can visualize your goals as much as you like, but without action they're not going to be turned into reality. Follow your game plan, do as much work as you can, work on your performance on an ongoing basis, and you'll be well on your way to achieving your goals. I mentioned before of the difference between motivation at a very deep level and the feeling of motivation. The more you visualize, the more you'll get that deep level of motivation, and you'll do things whether you feel like doing them or not. No one is going to be motivated 100% of the time, but it is still worth checking your motivation levels from time to time, especially when you have to do tasks you would rather not do. Some people find cold calling very challenging, but when they're feeling highly motivated, they're still prepared to pick the phone up and make the calls. So reminding yourself of your goals before you have to take action is a good way of getting your motivation levels back up. Some people put pictures of their goals in a dream book and keep this on constant display to remind them of why they are doing it in the first place. Some people like to listen to good rousing music. Some people like to get up and walk about at a particular pace in order to get their motivation levels up. The important thing is for you to notice what actually gets you feeling motivated. Then you can develop a ritual which can help you get motivated again when your motivation levels are slipping. My ritual, for example, is that I stand in a particular way and I walk confidently and I click my fingers and I breathe in a particular way as well. And as soon as I do that, I start to feel really confident and motivated. It was only by noticing over a period of time the various things that got me motivated that enabled me to build this ritual. They are not the only things that get me motivated, but I can turn this on in seconds. So it's really useful for you to build your own ritual for motivating yourself when you need it. There's a saying that you should set your goals in concrete and your plans in sand. Plans are important in order to get you moving in the right direction, but you will have to review them and adjust them as things do not always go according to plan. This is where your tracking system becomes very important, and taking time to review your progress will enable you to see what adjustments you might need to make. Don't change your goals, change your plans. As you take action, there'll be lots of things going right and lots of things going wrong, and it's very easy to be dragged down by focusing on the things that are going wrong rather than focusing on the things going right. Stay focused and you'll stay motivated. So thank you for listening. I hope you take the time to do the exercises and create for yourself some motivational goals. I hope you'll create a game plan and start to take action on that game plan in order to achieve your goals. My name's Richard White and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.